All right, then. So on the program, I did tell you, we're going to be reflecting through some of the bright sides of the traffic equation in Lagos. We're revving up Lagos and looking at the milestones that we've had in the past 12 months. And who else is better suited to take us through this excursion this morning other than the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation? And I'm talking about Honorable Oluwaseun Osiyemi is here, right here with us in the studio. Honorable Commissioner, nice to have you back here. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor, and I'm glad to be here today.
Wonderful. All right. So last week, Tuesday, the showpiece was all about the Transportation Ministry. And that was because you were presenting the scorecard of Mr. Governor in the realms of transportation. Let's just reflect a bit on that, because I know that event saw a gathering of so many. And one thing that stood out for me were the data which the ministry was really flaunting. In fact, we were all soaked and overwhelmed with the data. Honorable Commissioner, let's start off. So let's look at it. The summary of it all is that the Lagos transport system is where? Where are we with it?
Well, thank you very much, Victor. Like you mentioned, the ministerial briefing was on Tuesday, and it was quite an interesting one. I would say very interactive, because we had a platform and an opportunity to read out to our people what we've been doing as a ministry under Mr. Governor,
Right.
who has done tremendously well in all sectors, and transportation being very big. And the first T in the themes plus is one that Mr. Governor has really invested in, and is very critical that we pay attention to it because of the size and the growing size of Lagos.
All right. Anyway, so public transportation is very, very big too. So one of the major figures that came up is the new sheriff in town, which is the railways. And the figure there shows that the Blue Line has moved over 2 million people.
Yes, Terry. The Blue Line has moved over 2 million people from inception. And it's quite interesting to note that this is just with just the few rolling stock that we have. And in that same ministerial briefing, I did say that we're expecting more rolling stock for the Blue Line, which should come sometime next month. And what that would do is it would also increase our capacity, increase our efficiency, and also the number of trips we can do.
So where are we in terms of that particular rail corridor, the Blue Line, right now? I know when we started operations with that, it was just barely, how many kilometers? 12 or 13?
12, 13 out of a 27-kilometer rail line. The phase 1 is actually from Marina to Mile 2, which will be running from now, since inception rather, till now. The phase 2 is actually from Mile 2 to Kokomaiko, and it's about, say, 50 to 55% done so far.
Okay.
We expect that by 2026, God willing, we should have completed that.
All right. Like first quarter in 2026?
Well, I'll say towards the last quarter,
okay,
to be conservative.
All right. Then we have the Red Line, which is also in operations as well.
Yes, the Red Line is actually in operation as well. That runs from Oyingbo all the way to Agbado. Of course, we're also expecting rolling stock to add to what we have on ground on the Red Line, to also improve efficiency. That's the phase 1 of the project.
All right.
The phase 2 of the project is one that actually go from Oyingbo to Igomu, National Theatre, which of course will now give us that connectivity that we need, meaning that people coming from Ikeja can now connect onto the Blue Line and then go on to the island.
All right. Earlier in the year, we saw, Mr. Governor, who signed a kind of MOU with one of your international partners for the Green Line, which is supposed to kick off in terms of construction. Talk to us about that. That's the third line, right?
Yes, that's the third line, the Green Line. The Green Line, of course, would come from Marina all the way to Lekki Free Trade Zone. That is one of the lines I will say that is another game changer. As we speak, the MOU has been signed, like Riley said, between Czech and Mofi, to construct this line. All the necessary feasibility studies have been done, all the SIAs. Of course, there's been concluded, and then the right of way, of course, all of that has been adopted. This project, as we speak, definitely will start this year by the special grace of God. So there's a lot of sensitization going on, because it's actually going to come all the way from Marina and then land onto the Lekki and take the median all the way to Lekki Free Trade Zone. So for that, we've started sensitization, because we know that for the Lekki corridor, there might be some bit of inconvenience that might happen, but of course, with very, very intentional and good traffic management system, we'll be able to at least manage it to the best of our knowledge.
Right. A lot in terms of advancement for rail transportation in Lagos. But let's talk about buses now, public transportation, buses that are owned by government and all of that. Where are we with that in the past 12 months? How far have we gone in terms of meeting up with the commuter needs of Lagosians?
Thank you very much, Oteri. First, I'll say is the buses owned by the government is the one from LBSL, Lagos Bus Service Limited. And also in the ministerial briefing, I was able to say that we've moved over 60 million people from inception till date.
Wow.
Move about 42,000 daily, which is not a small number. And we also have other operators in that space. As a government, we've decided that we would only create platforms for private investors to come in and run and bring these buses, which is why we have some private companies already working on things, and we're expecting about 2,000 CNG buses and also about 50 to 100 electric buses, all from private investors, because the government is not, we have a lot of programs and projects to do, so we also need to create PPPs and also arrangements whereby we can enable and create a good platform for private investors to play. So a lot of analysis have been done on the needs and how many buses we would need per route for all of what we need, and for those areas there will be deployment of those buses. And as we speak, not just limiting it to buses, we're also speaking to infrastructure that would support those buses, which is why we're currently working on 8 quality bus corridors. Renovating and enhancing it, putting nice bus shelters, laybys, and all of what it is that the buses need to be able to move well and move people efficiently.
Right.
That is currently going on as we speak.
I'm curious, because the question all the time is, yes, the government is providing or making provision for these buses, but what about the existing ones? I mean, in spite of all this advancement, people have said the downfalls are still adorning Lagos. And is there any plan to phase them out?
Yes, there is. There's a program called the Bus Reform Initiative, which is the BRI. The BRI is one that, like I mentioned in the last program that I came, we're starting a pilot run from the Lekki corridor. And what does that entail? It entails us, one, taking all the coropays off the express road. And then now doing an inspection and assessment of the medium capacity buses that will be plying those roads. So which means that for the buses that do not pass those inspections, we give them the opportunity to go and put them to shape. If they can't, we take them out. But more importantly, what we have done is we have told them to go and form clusters, more like cooperatives, such that we can have good data of all of the buses in that corridor. Meaning that minimum of 50 per cluster. This is like your typical cooperative would be, so that you can actually, one, have the data of all the buses in that corridor, two, also be able to monitor and cover all of the infractions that we see on the road as we speak.
Right.
Also, what will be adopted will also be our electronic payment system, which is the cowrie card that will be adopted on it. That affords us opportunity, one, to be able to also speak to data and mine those data for future use.
Right. BRT, let's touch that a bit on that. I mean, we have 3 corridors now. We have the BRT from Ikorodu all the way, which was implemented in 2 phases, all the way to Marina. We also have the Abule-Egba corridor. The first phase still very much on. How far are we gone with the BRT system? Is it really meeting up to its objectives?
I want to confidently say that it is. We have started, like you mentioned, 3 corridors, and we can see how well that has played. We're also doing more expansion and working on more as we speak. We're not only limiting to just the BRT corridor, we're also doing terminals. For example, the Abulegba terminal was opened just about a month or 2 months ago.
All right.
Yeah, we're concluding on the Ajah terminal, which we should open definitely this year. So, I mean, the old things surrounding the BRT is not just the corridor, also the infrastructure is what we're looking critically at and working and trying to improve on it.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Honorable Oluwaseun Osiyemi, is our guest on Lagos Transport Trends and Perspectives, and we are looking at revving up Lagos transportation milestones in view, especially as we are reflecting on the second year of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. Let's talk about traffic management, decongestion, and all of that. And one of the things which is very high on the agenda of Mr. Governor is the Junction Improvement Project. Talk to me, Honorable Commissioner. How far are we gone with that?
Well, we've done 49 so far. We're working on one as we speak, which is the Toyin Okpebi Allen Junction Improvement. It's slated to be concluded in November this year. What that will do is going to be complementing the Odo-Yalaro Bridge.
Okay.
That would be bringing more traffic to the Okpebi axis. And if we do not do that road to complement the bridge, we'll be creating a problem. So, because we know that based on the bridge, I mean, I'm sure you know how the Odo-Yalaro Bridge.
The Okpebi Link Bridge.
Yes.
The Okpebi Bridge is supposed to connect Odo-Yalaro.
Yes.
How far are we gone with the construction?
That was what is slated to be completed this year, end of this year. I also conservative at the worst, maybe first quarter of next year.
Okay.
Because that would help a lot of traffic, meaning that not too many cars would have to go to Mobile Johnson or the Mobile Bankantoni way to get to Ikeja. You can just easily come down the ramp and go on to Okpebi to go to Ikeja. You can also come from Okpebi and go all the way to go to Ojota, or go to Korodu Road. The whole idea is to create options for people and to enable them to get shorter journey time. But more importantly, the junction improvement work is just that we have other 3 or 4 that are in the pipeline that is being looked at, which I'm sure would commence this year as well.
Let's switch to water transportation, Honorable Commissioner. A lot has been said about water transportation, but how far have we gone in the past 12 months?
It's an interesting space to speak to, really. And Lagos being a littoral state, it's only smart for us to tap on opportunities and the privilege and opportunity that God has given us. Lagos, as we speak, is the smallest state in Nigeria, size-wise. And out of our state, 1/3 of it is water. 20 local governments are water accessible. So it's only smart for us to use our water space to decongest. Last year, Mr. Governor did launch our omnibus, 15 of them.
Okay.
10 also will be launched this year because there are 25 in all. We've done 15. 10 also will be launched this year. And above all things, there's a project that we're working on this year with our LASWA team, which is the Omieko.
Okay.
The Omieko project is one that, of course, would speak to the dredging and channelization of waterways. Also will speak to the improvement of jetties. And the most interesting part is that we will be bringing over 70 electric ferries.
70?
Yes, over 70 electric ferries into the waterways, so that we give reassurances to people and also improve the confidence of our people to get on water.
Let's talk about that, because I know that barely a week back we had this incident on the waterways wherein one of the lag ferries boats, I understand, had an incident on the boat and probably had fueling problems, and that created some kind of panic for passengers. So what is the government doing about that to ensure that passengers just do not go through that kind of experience anymore?
Well, Victor, I must say that it was a sad experience, and it's not something that we're very happy about. But accidents, of course, do happen. The most important thing is to ensure that we never let it happen, and we create preventive measures to ensure that it does not happen. This particular incident that happened was the boat caught fire while I was still at the jetty. But interestingly and fortunately for us, we were able to, of course, respond quickly. I must say that there was no one died. We thank God for that. And the few people that got injured were quickly rushed to the hospital and well taken care of by Lagos State government. Of course, for every rider that is on our boat, there's an insurance for them. Peradventure, God forbid, there's an accident. So we've taken care of them, and we've also taken steps to do an audit of the process and also all the boats that we have to ensure that such things do not happen anymore.
So in terms of those that make use of the waterways, are we having more people that are doing that now?
Yes, it's quite encouraging. But one challenge that they also face is the issue of fueling for those boats, which of course makes it a bit challenging for the operators to run, which speaks to what we're talking about now, going green. Electric boats, CNG boats is the way to start looking, because the primary, the most expensive cost for running any transportation, maybe bus, maybe it's fuel. Right. 70% of the cost. So that's a challenge that we face. But be that as it may, because of what people have seen and because of the journey time and also all the safety issues that are very, very well adhered to, people have started growing confidence and going on our waterways. And
is that the reason why the government is thinking of electric boats now to solve the fueling problem?
Well, that's one of it. And the other thing to do is we all know why we need to go green. And it's important for us to start moving where the world is moving to, for climate change, for emissions, and all of what you can think of. So it's an intentional act.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Lagos Transport Trends and Perspectives is the program, and of course, that's here with me, the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, Honorable Oluwaseun Osiyemi. We'll be opening the lines very, very shortly so that you can also have your input as well. But before we do that, quickly, Honorable Commissioner, let's touch down on some others now, because there are a whole lot. Like I said, there were lots and lots of statistics that were really, really thrown at us during that press brief. Let's talk about the roads now, road infrastructure, traffic management. And I know that even though you've spoken about the junction improvement projects and its importance to decongesting traffic and all of that, let's talk about the one that's supposed to control our behavior. Very recently, the ministry unveiled the speed cameras, and that really, really drew a whole lot of attention from people. What's the latest with that? Are those cameras catching offenders?
Oh, yes, they are. They are, and they're also getting their text messages to pay their fines.
All right. So what would you say now? Some have said, well, Lagos State government just using that to generate revenue. What's your response to that?
Like I always say, it's more of safety for us than revenue. I'm sure, Victor, you agree that safety is the number one thing. Revenue is not the focus. We need to, change the behavioral pattern of our drivers on the road. Unnecessary overspeeding, bad behavior on road, concerning maybe lane indiscipline, and every other thing you can imagine on the road is what the camera will curb. And for us, the safety of every commuter, it's very, very important to us as a state, and which is what the camera will speak to. Yes, revenue will be made. Half of it, if not 90%, will be plowed back into the transport system. But more importantly, like I said, it's more of safety for us than
right.
revenue.
Okay, then. So I see something here that the ANPR, the cameras have, been able to do over 470,000 traffic violations, right, in the past 1 year, and that the inspection service itself has issued over 1 million road worthiness certificates. That's huge in 1 year alone, right? That's from VIS, not talking about even Lasdri, the kind of drivers that they've trained. All right, let's see if we can expand the scope to also have your inputs this morning. 08099120777 and 09153877127. Okay, 09153877127. Those are the numbers that you can connect with us. If you have any concerns you want to bring before the commissioner, feel free. Or perhaps you're so impressed with some of these figures being reeled out this morning, feel free to connect with us as well. Shango Tedo End, I understand it's good vehicular movement from Ilaje connecting Aja underneath the Jubilee Bridge. From there, heading towards Ado, Baduri, both in and out, looking good, except for little delays opposite the Chicken Republic. This is due to potholes within that particular corridor. Onwards journey towards Abraham Adesanya, looking pretty good in and out. And then I can tell you, Ogombo Road connecting Lekki Gardens Phase 2, Alasia, as well as LBS, Olokonla up to Ogidon, as well as Shongotedo and ShopRite, all looking pretty good. ShopRite down to Abijo and Awoyaya. Same for Lakowe, Frigent, Eleko Junction, also very much in good shape. All within that corridor, things are looking pretty cool right now. All right, some messages coming in here for you already, Honorable Commissioner, but do not forget the number is 09153877127. That's the numbers that you can connect with us. This one says, good morning, Honorable Commissioner. What's your approach to making transportation in Lagos more inclusive for persons with disabilities and the elderly? Tony from Barua is sending that in.
All right, thank you very much, Tony. A lot has been done in that space as regards inclusivity for people with disability. On our BRT buses, for example, we give them preference on getting on those buses.
Okay.
And at the ministerial briefing, I also did mention that number plates, we're going to be rolling out number plates for people with disabilities, whereby every commuter and every road user would actually
be able to identify them.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And give them the necessary
right of way
and respect that they deserve.
Oh, great. All right, so I know that you've spoken about the fact that the transport policy is inclusive, it's affordable, it's accessible, it's sustainable, right? Those are the objectives of the transport policy.
Yes. Which
you've also reeled out on that day. All right, this one says, good morning, Victor. Could we have one day track BRT buses or ferries in real time like we do with ride-hailing apps? Chigozie is sending that one in. Chigozie, thank you so much. So, is that possible?
Say that again. I missed the question.
Okay, so he said, could we one day track BRT buses or ferries in real time like we do with ride-hailing apps? Chigozie is sending that one in. Chigozie, thank you.
Okay, yes. We have the first thing to be able to know what would be the scheduling of those buses and the ferries, which of course we do have them on the website of Lamata, and for the ferries we have for Laswa and for Lag Ferry. But more importantly, there's an app that was being launched by Lagos State, My Lagos app.
Oh, okay.
Which would give us is a one-stop shop where you can get all of this information as regards transportation, tourism, and all of whatnot. For the transportation bit of it, you would be able to see all the scheduling and of the buses, times that they would leave, times to expect on the boats, and all of whatnot. It would also give you an opportunity to use a Google Map, whereby if there's there's an accident, it would tell you exactly what it is and reroute you to some other route to be able to give you a better journey time. Okay. So this My Lagos app is one that we did launch about a month and a half ago, and it's one that will speak to a lot of things. It's also going to enable people to be able to make payments as regards fines, or maybe they want to pay for the renew their vehicle licenses and all of whatnot. So it's a one-stop shop.
All right. So people should be much expectant now. They should go for the My Lagos app, right? They can download it?
They can download it in Google Play.
Okay.
And App Store.
All right, then 09153877127. That's the numbers. 08099120777. We still have with us in the studios this morning the Honorable Commissioner for Transportation, and talking about Mr. Oluwaseun Osiyemi. Another message here says, Victor, water transport is underutilized in Lagos State. What can be done to encourage more Lagosians to see it as an alternative? You didn't put your name, but thank you so much. All right. But you did say now that people are gradually tapping into water transportation, right?
Yes, they are. And another reassuring thing would be when you start seeing those world-class ferries.
Okay.
You know, it's more reassuring to see ferries that, you know, when you get on, it's not going to capsize. What we've had before now are operators that, of course, maybe those ferries they don't look so convincing, and so people don't want to get on them. But with ferries where you have all the safety being, adhered to, like wearing your life jackets, you get on those ferries, you feel very comfortable. You can charge your phones in there. It's got good space. You can even listen to music. We have all of that on our omnibus. We're bringing those ferries, and you get on them. You don't feel unsafe because it's a world-class ferry that has been, of course, verified and confirmed by international barometers.
All right.
I mean, the omnibus, for example, was locally made by a company called Calverton, and all of the necessary things we need to put in place as regards safety was well thought through and then intentionally.
And they're still functioning effectively today?
Yes, they are.
All right. Comrade Daniel sending a message here. Comrade Daniel, I would have loved you to call. He says, good morning, Victor and the Honorable Commissioner. Kindly ask the Commissioner, when do the government intend to increase the number of BRT buses that will meet up commuters' demands? Also, conversion of the buses to CNG or electric buses, and what are the management of these buses doing to meet up with arrival time to pick up passengers? From Comrade Daniel. All right, Comrade Daniel, thank you so much. So I think he's putting two questions into one, right?
Yes, I mentioned the buses that will be expected, say 2,000 CNG buses and electric buses.
Okay.
But one thing I quickly want to point out is that a lot of the buses that we see cannot be converted. The retrofitting of those buses would not be possible. So
for them to be converted?
No.
Wow.
Because of the way the bus is either too low and you don't want to put the tanks on top of the car for safety issues. Right. So we might not be able to retrofit some of them. So
they will be made to wear out and they will be faded out or phased out as case may be.
Well, everything in life, even life, has its own expiry date.
Right.
So I guess when they finish doing their time, 15 years is typically the number of years that is being looked at depreciation. But be that as it may, the new buses coming would, of course, add to the fleet and also reduce stress on commuters.
All right, then 08099120777, 09153877127. What's happening to the phone line this morning? We're having more messages than the phone calls. This one says, good morning, Victor and the HC. First of all, I want to commend the Lagos State for their efforts in transportation in the state. However, I personally believe that the major challenges we have with road transport in Lagos are the area boys. No smart city should have street urchins on the road constituting a menace. It says, what truly can be done to eradicate the agberos from our roads? Unfortunately, you didn't put your name, but I think your message is very, very clear. Honorable Commissioner, street urchins, what's the ministry doing about them?
Well, Victor, it's an interesting question. It does not even just stop at agbero. It also speaks to urchins that linger or stay around traffic lights, and when you have little traffic, it's a function of development, I would say. Lagos, because of all of the infrastructure and development that's happened, of course, has its own dark side, which is attracted so many people to Lagos.
People are migrating to Lagos,
yes,
uncontrollably.
It is.
Is that something that Mr. Governor is thinking about? I mean, people have said virtually every day you have more than 80 people migrating to Lagos.
Well, the statistics says that 8,000 comes in every day.
Oh,
4,000 returns.
Oh, can you imagine that?
But the issue, it's synonymous to development and growth. Where there's infrastructure, where there's growth. Lagos is new jackpot for Nigeria.
Right.
That's where they know they can get opportunities, and we keep growing daily. It's worrisome. It's something that we've discussed at high level and we're still discussing. But we also have to be very careful in the sense that we're one country.
Right.
We have to do it in such a way that we do not also evade on people's
sensibilities.
Absolutely. So, but be that as it may, their conversations are along how to deal with this, because as a state, we must ensure that we get this right.
Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. What's your name?
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. Okay. All right. That must be a wrong call. 09153877127. The Honorable Commissioner for Transportation is right here with us, and of course, we're looking at advancement in transportation in the past 12 months. And he has said a lot, especially on what government is doing as relates to a whole lot of things. Honorable Commissioner, let's touch on a bit on the breakdowns. A lot of times these days, we see the articulated vehicles all leading to one accident or the other. Over the weekend, there was an accident on the Pensinema Flyover Bridge where one of the articulated vehicles carrying cartons fell off the bridge on two minibuses. What is the government's effort in trying to minimize all these kind of accidents?
Well, Victor, that's the big elephant in the room. It's something that is we're very concerned about, and we're having conversations along how to deal with these matters. A lot of what we see now regarding articulated truck accidents stems from the fact that, once again, I would say a lot of trucks coming to Lagos, because Lagos is the commercial hub of the nation. This is where you have the refineries, this is where you have the ports. So automatically it's going to bring a lot of those trucks into Lagos. Unfortunately, a lot of these truck drivers are, one, not very literate. Secondly, most times they are fatigued. And the bigger one, it's the state of their trucks.
All right.
So now there's a collaboration going on between ourselves and Federal Road Safety Commission and other stakeholders to ensure that, one, the inspection of those trucks will be stemmed off. You would see from this week a lot of clamp down will be done on those trucks. Okay. We're also working on other issues that I would not want to, of course, divulge now.
On air,
right. You would start seeing things as regards how to curb these things, and maybe when we start, maybe another 2 weeks, I can come back and speak to them, because we would need to do a lot of sensitization on all the necessary things that we will be doing, because we need to have stakeholders engagement first. And it would be nice to have those engagements before we start revealing.
And in terms of refleeting those trucks, I mean, the fleet of those trucks, are there plans, or are you having any collaborations with the private sector to bring that so that we can have much more motorable trucks on our roads?
Well, we'll leave that space for the transporters to actually deal with. Okay. Because not all of these people are from Lagos, like I said.
All right.
But at the moment they know that some trucks are not acceptable, then they will do the needful.
Last question I'm going to be taking here. A message here says, "Good morning, sir. I commend the Transport Ministry for being the pace setter on theme's agenda." It says, of great notice is the neatness of the BRT buses. There is, however, room for improvement. I said number 2, what's the MOT doing to ascertain the quality of truck drivers and trucks on Lagos Road? Thanks. Olu Aloko. Well, the commissioner just addressed the issue of trucks and, of course, the drivers as well. But in terms of the drivers, do they come to the last day? Did they come to your training schools?
Well, some of them do, but we're mandating them now, they must come.
Okay.
Which is part of the conversations that we're going to be having with the stakeholders, because beyond knowing how to drive, there's also the retraining aspect, because things evolve and things change, and they need to be on the same page with the developments as they come. So those are the kind of conversations we're going to be having and be enforcing. Compliance of those things are very, very important.
Let's begin to round this all off right now. So the year 2025, this is 4 months down the line. There should be lots that we're expecting, right? Any major projects we should be expecting but before the end of the year?
Number 1 will be the Green Line.
Okay.
Number 2 will be a lot of work will be done on road infrastructure to ensure that we have good roads to ply on.
All right.
We'll be having a lot of ITS, which Intelligent Transport System, all our lights, to ensure that public safety is key. Would also be doing things in the space of ensuring that we have inclusiveness for our people of disability.
Any engagement with the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure on the 4th Mainland Bridge? How far are we going with that?
Well, I would like to. There are conversations going on, but nothing that I can divulge at the moment.
At the moment. We'll leave it at that for now. Honorable Commissioner, it's always a thing of joy to have you in the studios. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you so much, Oteri, for having me.
Okay, then. So we've been able to touch down on some of the milestones of the Lagos State government as it relates to transportation. And of course, you heard from him. The figures are very, very intimidating. So lots to expect as the months go by. And let's see how things pan out. Of course, if there are any issues at every point in time, we always bring in the commissioner to help us respond and address some of them. And that is why even some numbers have been given. 090 2000 4000. For those of you that have any questions for the ministry, feel free to do that. 090 2000 4000 or 090 2000 9000. We have to go. The program has been produced by Dayo Anthony this morning. Maximum shout out going out to Bolanle Ogunlola, who is Director of Public Affairs for the Ministry of Transportation. From the social media team, I do appreciate Okpemi Shodunke and, of course, Deborah Bolidioku. Maximum shout out to you. Kausara Bakri in the building as well. And our executive producer is Tayo Akonli. My name is Victor Oteri. I'm out. Still very much within. Bye.